Hi folks, welcome to the Spiro Circle. Recently I spoke to Erel Herzog, co-founder and CEO of Combatica. They're a company that produces these VR, AR situations for gaming and defense sectors. Last summer, I experienced their technology. I went to their offices in Israel and I played around with some of their tech. They basically gave me this kind of mock-up gun and a VR headset, and I played around and immersed myself in their technology. It was really cool, and I don't often like those kinds of technologies, but I found myself completely enjoying it. I'd also just experienced the Vision Pro for the first time. That's Apple's equivalent. And that was basically a bit of a flop, at least on the consumer level. I didn't really find much use for it. It was very heavy. You had to connect to the battery. And yeah, I just didn't really connect with it at all. I wanted to speak to Erel a bit about his journey from Israel's IDF to where he is today at Combatica, and how the experience he had in the army shaped his career now and helped him understand what it was that was missing in the defense sector, but also the gaming and entertainment sector. Combatica is a very interesting example of dual-use technologies. It can be used in the social gaming aspect if you want to go meet somewhere with friends and play these virtual reality games. But it also connects to the army and policymakers by helping soldiers with training situations in a safe way. I feel like Israel could really be the pioneer in this kind of dual-use technology, and I hope you enjoy the conversation.
So, at Combatica, we basically developed the best tactical training platform in the world. So a team of soldiers, police officers, special force operators can put on VR headsets, and then they can train together on very realistic scenarios with AI-based enemies, civilians, hostages, and it just allows them to achieve high readiness at a lower cost. And basically the target is that to help complete the mission, to help train to complete the mission effectively, and that everybody comes home safe and sound, both our troops and allies troops, and also any civilians or hostages that happen to be in the area.
So you were in the IDF and you were in the 8200 unit. So talk us through exactly what that unit is for those who may not be familiar, mainly the viewers outside of Israel who may not have served in the IDF, but also how that experience in Israel, in that unit of the Israel's IDF, how that led you to the company.
So in 2018, we managed to prove that, me and my two co-founders, Yeri and Tai, we managed to prove that the IDF was technologically behind on simulation training, and we basically proposed a new sort of unit or task force to bridge that gap, to do both deep research into how to do some. At the end of the day, you look at video games, they're so much more technologically advanced than what the IDF, the US military, are training with, and we thought it shouldn't be the case, because these tools have become, game development tools have become so accessible nowadays that it's really a shame. And in 2019, we were selected to found, in late 2018, early 19, we were selected to found a task force to basically not only bridge this gap on the research side, but actually develop real solutions for real units that have acute needs in training that traditional and legacy technologies just don't bridge the gap. So imagine a scenario where you have a residential house, you could have a few terrorists and a few hostages. Setting up an effective training session of a scenario like that requires you to build that house or book a training facility. And in every country that we've been, there aren't enough facilities to meet demand, and they're always booked weeks or months in advance. And then you need to hire actors. And even when you go in, you can't really shoot, because that's dangerous. You don't do that in training. And that leads to training that is just not as effective, but you're spending so much time, effort, money preparing for a session that doesn't really get you where you need to go in terms of mental resiliency, tactical communication, decision making under stress. You're not stressed, you're not being shot at, there's no consequences if you shoot somebody. because you're not shooting, you're just saying fire, 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 and they're like, oh, you got me. And that's what we did in the IDF. In late 2019, during COVID, the unit was shut down for budgetary reasons, but a lot of the units that we were working with actively protested that and said, hey, we still need this. And when the unit was still shut down, we realized that the need still exists, and we saw the contracts that some of the companies in the field were getting, and we realized that there is a big business to be built here. So we finished our service and started Combatica, and that's how it was born.
Wow. And so just to build on what you were saying, I have used the tech myself. I did go to the office. I have worn it. Correct me if I make any inaccuracies while I'm re-describing what happened.
It's gotten so much better since then. You need to come.
Well, so I was going to say, when I was on it about a year ago, this was the summer of 2024. You put on the Oculus headset and you get a gun, and I wasn't being told what I was being put into, what the context was, and there I was in this big open room, and we'll make sure to put some pictures here just so I can give the viewers something to contextualize what I'm talking about. But I was walking around with this gun, and I was in a. Can I share the situation that I was in?
Sure.
Okay, so I was put in a school shooting context. So I was walking around the classrooms, going down the corridors, and it was a very immersive, very real experience. It was crazy. I'd never been in an AR experience like that, or VR experience like that. Talk me through the role that you folks can play in the defense sector. So talk me through about the role that you guys can do when building this tech up.
So first of all, if I talk about this specific school shooting scenario, I can tell you that last week we ran that scenario with a law enforcement unit here in Israel, if I remember correctly. Yeah, and we put quite a few hostages there, and just one terrorist with 20 hostages. And I can tell you that they managed to take out the terrorist, but they also shot the hostage he was hiding behind. So you can really see how this is not something you can train on using legacy technology. So having this ability to do very realistic training in a very safe manner with no physical consequences, and then getting the system showing you the data of what you did wrong and how to improve. At the end of the day, if this was a real scenario and he would have gone into that room with this terrorist and hostages in the same place, there's a good chance he would have hit the hostage in real life. And being able to run repetition after repetition after repetition, getting the data after each one, and then improving over time, it builds this muscle of decision making under stress and tactical communication, which is very important. So regarding the role that this plays in the defense side, I think if you look at some of the numbers from for example, the war in Gaza, the amount of IDF casualties from friendly fire is staggering. And the main legacy training technologies, they're very expensive, time consuming, it's a hassle, and the training is not effective. So if you ask most units, they'll say we are not able to train as much as we want because it takes a month to plan every session. We can't have as many sessions as we want, and the training itself is not as effective as we need it to be. Now, if you look at some of the other tools on the market, because there are other companies doing VR, AR, the issue is that a lot of them require you to put on heavy backpacks, cables, sensors on your body, cameras in the room. And that means that the hassle to run a VR training session is still quite a hassle. And even the mobile systems that exist usually take 1 to 2 hours of setup in a location. And the main advantage with the Combatica system is that the whole thing just packs into 2-4 cases, just a few suitcases. You can put them in the trunk of a car. You can drive into any room or space, basketball court, gym, mess hall, whatever. And you can just set it up in 10 to 15 minutes with no infrastructure at all. Not even a power outlet. You can just run it from a mobile battery. And that means you can literally train anytime, anywhere, with no hassle, and it's very easy to use. It takes a few hours just to learn to use the system end to end. So this ability to both have the existing training facilities, have this new technology to allow them to do better better, more effective training within their bounds, but also to have the ability to decentralize it. Every unit could have a kit or two in their base, or you could have mobile roving kits, which is one of the things we're doing in Israel with Rafael. That is, I think that's pretty revolutionary, and we're aiming to be the gold standard for the U.S. military, law enforcement in the U.S., NATO, and I think we're not, and I think we'll get there.
Can you give some numbers as to how much the tech saves or improves, or what are some of the ROI there?
So I can't give specific operational numbers. What I can say is that from a survey of about 500 IDF soldiers that was conducted late last year, the system got a 97% satisfaction rate. And when they were asked what would you change with the system, 45% said nothing, and the other 55% said I just need more time with it because I need more time on the system, but other than that it's perfect. So I think that speaks for itself. Almost every single one of our clients is a return customer as well to some degree. So customers are voting with their feet in their wallet and buying more and more and coming back. So I think that's enough for us to really show that we've made an impact.
Okay, wonderful. Can you talk me through that partnership that you mentioned briefly? I want to dive a bit more into that news and information.
Yeah. So after October 7, we partnered with Rafael to start providing training. The system was still in beta at the time. Still had a few kinks and bugs here and there, but we wanted to help as much as we could. If you remember, they mobilized 300,000 people. All of them needed to be trained or refreshed in some way or form, and everybody who was left behind to protect the communities, police, law enforcement, suddenly they didn't get any training at all because every facility or range or CQB facility that existed was all used for that. And we just for the first few months we provided training completely free to pretty much anybody who wanted it, as much as possible. Then we started charging it at cost, or actually below cost. We still lost money, but we subsidized the cost a bit. And about a few months ago, we after a successful completion of the pilot, we ended it. They purchased some systems, and now they're training quite a few units and agencies here in Israel on their own. It's having the IDF, the law enforcement, as a design partner to some extent. It allowed us to both flush out the whatever remaining bugs we had in the system, but also more importantly, the user feedback we got from the field allowed us to prioritize what features give the most value to our customers and accelerate development much faster. Suddenly the system is not in the lab anymore with our guys, it's actually in the field delivering real training. If there's an issue, if there's a bug, or if there's something missing, we'll get the heat after the session. And that forced us to grow up very, very fast, much faster than what we would have without it.
Okay, thank you. Now we're talking a lot about the defense application of something like Combatica and its product,
Yeah.
but also there's a whole dual use case where it can be used, as we kind of mentioned at the start, entertainment, gaming, all of these other aspects. Where do you see yourselves in this tightrope of balance? Where do you see you guys going more?
So everybody at Combatica, almost everybody is our team is nearly 90% veterans, but also nearly 100% gamers in heart. So we always knew we wanted to do something eventually in the civilian market. The question was how, when, what, because we're still not at the point, despite all the promises and hype, that everybody has a VR headset at home. I don't have a VR headset at home, even though I'm founded a VR company. So basically what caused us to realize that it's the right time is that almost every single training session or demo that we've given, both in Israel and with our customers and potential customers abroad, somebody came up and says, "Hey, can I bring my kids or can I bring my friends?" to try this. It's just so much fun. And we realized that there's much more potential than we thought in the, you could call it tactical entertainment. Because at the end of the day, we're at the intersection of defense, the game, the simulator, is at the intersection of defense, sports, and gaming. And it's sort of like Call of Duty, but you're actually in the game. And we realized that could have an even bigger potential theoretically than what we do in defense, at least in terms of the market size. So at that point, starting about roughly early 2024, every time we went abroad to do a client demo or to deploy a system or something like that, we made a habit of looking if there are any VR facilities in the area and trying them out. And within a few months, we had a really good understanding what's in the market. And we realized that we're just not having fun there because our system is so much more fun. In addition to all the value that it brings in saving lives.
Are there ethical considerations between when you tweak something for soldiers versus for gamers versus for entertainment enjoyers? Do you guys change at all?
Yeah. It's a good question. We thought about it long and hard. At the end of the day, the conclusion that we came to is that it's not different from going to a paintball field with your friends or airsoft, or even in the US you have 12,000 shooting ranges. So at the end of the day, if somebody had any bad intentions and wanted to go and get some action time with a dummy rifle, they could go to any number of thousands of locations in the world and do that. So we're not really moving the needle in that sense. On the flip side, it's a very fun experience. It's great fitness. You're running around for 30 minutes. I can tell you that I've lost weight a bit since I started doing it more, and I hope to do it much more once we have a physical location in Israel that we can go to every week.
I was definitely out of breath when I finished my trial last year.
And I also think that putting in a focus on something like gun safety could also have a positive social impact, especially in the United States where that leads to quite a few deaths.
Yeah. Well, that was my next question. Do you think the defense industry is helping innovate the gaming industry, or do you think the gaming industry is helping innovate the defense industry? Which one do you think is spinning that wheel?
So, well, it's interesting because the wheel is constantly spinning, and because in the past it used to be all the innovations came from defense, but now it's coming back to that. And I would say that what we did is we took the technology is almost 100% gaming technology. Unity, Blender, it's all gaming engines and off-the-shelf 3D software. The Quest is just the headset is the MetaQuest headset that you could buy at Best Buy or Ivory in Israel. You could just order it online. So there isn't any dedicated military technology but the application, I would say it's a mix of getting special forces advisors and special forces units and working with them together, learning to develop this system that could really meet their standards, while using almost exclusively off-the-shelf hardware and then developing our proprietary software on that based on off-the-shelf gaming engines and platforms. So it's a mix.
You said that you didn't have a headset, even though you founded the Combatica and the kind of company, the things you guys are working with. I also don't have any form of headset. I tried the Vision Pro, hated it. I don't know anyone that has a headset of any sorts. And I think the metaverse was kind of a bit of a flop when it came to its broader consumer rollout. Where do you see the future of immersive technologies like this going in 5 or 10 years? I mean, we've made a point of talking about how it's consumer tech that can access things like this, but I mean, at least now, society's not really doing it. So where do you see it happening?
First of all, I think that saying that the metaverse is a flop, I don't know if that's the right way to look at it. People said the internet was a flop in 2001, and time proved them wrong. So we might be in a similar situation where, as with AI, as with crypto, as with a lot of other technologies that got hyped up, and then once you hype something up to that level, people expect it to be ready and applicable today, but the metaverse is maybe 5-10 years away even today at a large scale, maybe even more. And B is that once you have something that's hyped up to that level, you have a ton of people who want to make a quick buck. They open a company. I think there was a story of a iced tea company from somewhere in the U.S. that changed their name from something iced tea to something blockchain, and like their stock tripled within 24 hours. So,
wow.
Because they just launched a token, but they're still an iced tea company. So as with pretty much any industry that blows up, usually the core underlying tech does have real value, real potential. Usually it's a few years out when the hype starts, and probably 90-95% of startups and ideas in the field were just people trying to ride the hype. But I think what's interesting is that under the rubble of the metaverse crash, there are a lot of actually really promising startups that the ones that deliver real value to customers and generate real revenue. They're growing like crazy, and both in the defense and the entertainment side, VR is actually growing phenomenally in the past 2-3 years, and nobody's noticing it. And then regarding what would be the best way to get mass adoption, if you think about yourself, for example, right, not having a Quest. First of all, buying a Quest is $300 to $500. It's a serious chunk of money. It's not something that you or I probably can't afford if we really wanted to, but we need to really want it. And B, compare that to just buying an app on your phone for $5 like they used to do. And B is that once you get the headset at home, you have a limited selection of games. You're standing in place, because usually most people don't have a basketball court size space in their home. You're standing in place, holding the controllers, nothing real, and you get a ton of motion sickness as well. So it's just not a very fun experience, and that barrier will be overcome eventually, but it limits what you can do and limits how fun the experience is. But compare that to something like what we're going to be doing in the entertainment space. There's going to be physical Combatica locations you can just come to. You can buy a ticket, so you don't have that barrier of, you can just go with your friends. You have big, massive space. You're walking, running around. You're physically active, holding a very realistic dummy weapon. So you're not holding those controllers, and there's no motion sickness at all. So it's more akin to sports, where you'd go to play hockey or basketball with your friends, rather than buying a headset at home, having to invest in it, and then having that very limited space and motion sickness. So I think that's the reason why the location-based entertainment market has exploded in recent years. Because if you look at where the technology is versus the hype, it's not yet ready for mass adoption at home. I believe I might be wrong, but if you have a dedicated space with enough open space and you go with your friends, it's a great experience today. Same with military or special forces training. The technology is definitely mature enough today. Augmented reality? No. Metaverse? No. We're a few years out. VR, enterprise training, tactical training, or gaming at a dedicated facility. We've been there, the technology's been there for the past year or two, and we're now starting to see real traction by both us and some other amazing companies out there as well.
Okay, wow, that's amazing. It sounds super exciting. Although I'm not sure anything can beat the thrill or the rush of avoiding a paintball hitting you, because that is, you don't need the immersive technology for that. But I remember from when I was younger, like getting hit by a paintball was certainly as real as I'd like it to be. Anyway, what do you think Israel's role in all of this is in the growth of this immersive technology business, whether it's, as you were saying, entertainment sites where people can physically go and play with their friends, or partnerships with governments or armies? Where is Israel fitting into this new area that's growing out?
Well, first of all, I think there are some amazing companies in the field in Israel as well. recent years, we've seen the Israeli ecosystem shift more towards focusing back on cyber enterprise cloud, but also much bigger focus on AI in recent years, which I think is definitely the right move. I think what Israelis are really good at is problem solving and doing things that have and doing like applied development, things that actually have a reason for existing. Israelis are just really good at focusing on solving real problems, real issues, and bringing real value early and then growing from there with revenue, as opposed to a lot of companies that are born based on hype and idea but maybe I don't need it, maybe it doesn't really bring value. Yeah, it sounds cool on paper, but it doesn't meet the reality check. So I think I recently read an article as well that somebody said Israel might not be developing the next big LLM model, though I think Amnon Shashua would disagree. But Israel is probably going to be the leader in like what are the applied uses for AI, like taking the Claudes and ChatGPTs of the world and developing real applications that bring real value and solve real problems in million industries: healthcare, legal, finance, whatever. And I think we have a chance to do a similar thing we could call it like applied metaverse, taking the technology as it is today, not as we hope it'll be in 10 years, and bringing real value to people, both in saving lives via better training, higher readiness, or providing a fun experience for the whole family where you can be a soldier for a day, and also get out a great exercise out of it, and do it in a way that just works today and is revenue positive from day one.
Yeah, that's great. It definitely beats the early days of the Nintendo Wii when people were just sitting on the couch doing this and playing tennis.
Yeah.
Cool, Erel, we're running out of time, I'm afraid. I wish I could keep talking all evening about this, but we are running out of time. I do have, what I like to do now is end my calls or end my episodes with a quick fire round where I ask you a couple of questions and you answer them in as few words as quickly as possible. Just to kind of see what's on the tip of your tongue. So, what's the book or film that most inspired you in your thinking about technology?
Star Wars.
I can see.
Yeah.
What's one skill from your army service that you still use daily?
Problem solving, I would say.
AR or VR? Which one excites you more?
Right now, VR, long-term AR.
What is a startup that you admire outside of defense?
SpaceX.
Israel in one word.
Innovation, I guess.
Innovation.
So much I could say.
Yeah, that question always trips up everyone. They never know which direction to go in. All right, Erel, I have one last question for you, I'm afraid. I'm going to keep you just a bit longer. What are the best ways that people can connect with you or follow the news of Combatica and what you guys are up to?
Instagram or LinkedIn.
Wonderful. I'll make sure to include some links all around. I don't know if that's down here or along there. I'm still getting used to this new system. Erel, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.